From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm David Augustine. Federal departments plan to cut more than 12,000 full-time equivalent jobs over 3 years as part of the Carney government's spending review. Departmental plans outline billions in reductions, though many lack detailed specifics on how cuts will be implemented. Some identified measures include canceling the Canadian Space Agency's Lunar Rover project and scaling back research and military assets. Experts say the plans provide a broad overview but leave key details about impacts and execution unclear. 4 of the 5 candidates to lead the federal NDP say they won't be in a hurry to enter the House of Commons if they win.
Avi Lewis says his main priority as party leader would be to prepare the party's grassroots for a general election. Fellow leadership candidates Rob Ashton, Tenille Johnston, and Tony McQuail agree that getting a seat in the House of Commons would not be their immediate priority. The only current MP in the leadership race is Heather McPherson, and she's stressed the need for a leader who can push the NDP's priorities in the House of Commons on day one. The NDP will pick its next leader next weekend. Jason White, The Canadian Press.
Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston's approval rating has dropped to his lowest since taking office in 2021.
The Angus Reid poll shows an 11-point decline to 39%, the largest among Canadian premiers amid backlash to his recent budget. The budget includes major cuts to public services and programs, sparking protests and public criticism. Several of the boisterous protests held outside of the legislature were over his government's planned grant cuts, and the premier has been booed at public events. Houston has reversed some cuts and apologized, but analysts say the response may have come too late to avoid political damage. John Kennedy, The Canadian Press.
The husband of a Canadian woman says he has no idea why his wife and 7-year-old stepdaughter were taken into custody by U.S. Border Patrol in Texas last week. Edward Warner says Tanya Warner and her daughter Ayla Lucas all had proper paperwork with them when they were taken into custody Saturday while traveling home from a baby shower.
But we had all our documents with us. She had her work visa, her Texas state driver's license, and her passport with her.
U.S. Customs and Border Patrol have not yet responded to a request for comment. Edward Warner says it's particularly difficult for Ayla, who has autism. And David Eby will become the first British Columbia premier to visit the People's Republic of China since the late John Horgan did in 2018. Eby's visit comes after Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Chinese officials in January. Eby says he will market BC as a stable jurisdiction.
We are a stable jurisdiction. That when we build things, we deliver. It's consistent, it's predictable, it's done to the highest standards, and you can count on us.
The premier did not announce additional details about his trip, but says it will deepen trade ties in agriculture and energy between BC and Communist China, which is the province's second most important export market after the U.S. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Carolina Hurricanes picked up a 4-3 overtime victory against the Maple Leafs last night. Toronto center John Tavares says the team can still get something from the final stretch of a lost season.
You get an opportunity to play in the National Hockey League. You never take it for granted, and you want to go out there and play well. And I think you want your game to look like your game. So continuously to strive for that and play hard and play well, and want to continue to have a feeling we're celebrating after a hard-fought win. There's nothing much better than that in the league.
Tavares scored his 24th goal and is one shy of becoming just the 4th active player to reach 25 in at least 14 seasons, behind only Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and Steven Stamkos. And opening day starter Kevin Gausman takes the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays in spring training action against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Blue Jays have an 11-13 record with 2 Grapefruit League games remaining. Toronto opens its season next Friday against the Athletics at Rogers Centre. From the Canadian Press, I'm David Augustine.